astronaut. But as I grew older, I sort of realized that with my skin condition, I probably would not be able to be an actual astronaut. And so I spent a couple of years searching for the best way to get as close to being an astronaut as I could. And this way is a little bit complicated, so I'm going to sort of talk you through it. Okay, so I got to go to Florida, where I flew on an airplane called 0G, and it's an airplane that flies a special maneuver called a parabola. So it goes up and down like this. And the weightlessness occurs, so you're weightless like an astronaut. And this happens when you're at the top of the parabola. And you do it 15 times, which was quite exciting. Okay, so in November of 2011, we went to Florida. We went onto this airplane, not knowing quite what to expect. And so it was quite exciting, the anticipation when we were sitting in the seats in the back of the cabin. And what happened next was very interesting. So we did 2 parabolas, one of motion gravity, so it felt like you were on Mars, and then one of lunar gravity, so like you were on the moon. And the airplane, when it's pulling up, so that it can perform the maneuver, you have to be lying down since your body doesn't really handle it well if you're sitting up. And so, when you sit up, once the zero gravity starts, it can be very interesting. Okay, so lunar gravity was like the most amazing thing ever. It was like bouncing around on like this magical trampoline, but like 5 times better since like you fell really slowly and you got to bounce around and do somersaults and just sort of fall slowly down to the floor. And then after we did the motion and lunar gravity, we did 12 parabolas of no gravity. And so, when we sat up once the zero gravity started, see, with no gravity, even the slightest motion can send you tumbling to the ceiling or to the other side of the room. And that's exactly what happened to us. I ended up on the ceiling with no idea of, I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? How did I get here? And what am I going to do? And so I got to fly like Superman, which was quite amazing. And I found it hard to control myself in zero gravity because pushing against the walls almost gives you too much like energy, and you can't really swim in the air. And my sister was far better at it than I was. She was tumbling around like an acrobat. And an interesting thing is that since when you return to gravity, you sort of come slamming down to the floor from like the ceiling. And so they say feet down coming out, and that means you have 1 second to work yourself into a position where you won't like break a leg when you come crashing back down. Next slide, please. This is a video my dad took. for all. And I was mostly holding on to my mom for dear life, since I really had no idea how to control myself without, like, hitting into the floor or the ceiling or, you know, crashing back down to the floor in some uncomfortable position. And even though I spent most of the time sort of in a state of like, oh my God, what's happening? It was the best time of my life. And I have another video to show you. Really did help me achieve my dream of floating around like an astronaut. And next slide, please. Also, when I was floating around, they threw Skittles and water into the air, so you could try to chase down, you know, the Skittles and try to drink these like floating blobs of water. I was not quick enough to catch them, although I think my sister managed to catch a few of them. And I mean, it was just quite amazing to see the water just floating around in the air. And once gravity returned, the interesting thing was that all of the water and all of the Skittles rained on top of you. So that was a nice little rain shower. Next slide, please. And so Nicholas really helped me achieve my dreams of floating around like an astronaut and being as close to being an astronaut as I really could ever achieve. And they've also given me hope that I can one day become an aerospace engineer and design spacecraft that astronauts can go on.